Good.
So
So,
tell me.
yeah, I mean,
I'm curious.
yeah, there was a in the talk we had last week when we met, uh, or maybe when we discussed, there was a revelation for me, or I could a little bit change my belief because I was playing club matches and I had my doubts as I usually do, and you told me one very interesting thing that okay, when you are set up and break up or whatever the score is, or whatever the doubts uh, come, then you have two options, either to focus on the positive or to focus on the negative. And if you focus on the negative, it's like, oh, I remember 20 years ago how I lost the match like this, but then there were 50 more matches where you won when you were set and break up.
Yeah.
And for me it was a big shift somehow. And I'm like I never knew that that there's a possibility like this, or maybe, as I say, I'm looking for an answer, and you give me the answer, but it's not that the one I expect somehow. Or I just give you, I give you the problem and you give me answer, and then when I tell the answer to somebody else, everybody goes like, of course. And for me it's also of course, but nobody ever told me, nobody ever said that this is the solution.
Yeah.
Like, the solution is obvious. Yeah, of course, focus on the positive. But I mean, you can hit the, like, eh, and that's yeah, one of the questions I wanted to discuss today. It's like, put it in the simple words to everybody understand. Is like, doubts in the match, focusing on positive versus negative
Yeah.
thoughts.
I think I think the idea here is that first principle is that what we focus on, we feel. So because there's at any given moment, there's infinite amount of things we can focus on. Like even now we're talking, you can focus on the sound of my voice, you can focus on like what you had for breakfast, you can focus on how you feel, something's itching in the body, you can whatever, right? So there's so many things we can focus on. And the beautiful sentence that I like is that the quote is that we have a million-year-old brain and whose job is not to make us happy but to help us survive.
That's
And and because of this, we tend to focus on what could kill us or what could be negative. So focusing on what works is not automatic, right? Because if it works, then it becomes invisible to us because it works, right? You don't focus on how your car's engine works until it breaks. When it's working fine, you're not driving in the car and thinking about like, oh, the engine is doing this and now it's doing that and now no, it becomes invisible because we have a limited energy and attention. So there's only some things we can focus on, right? Um, the moment the engine breaks, suddenly that's the only thing you focus on, right? Because it's a problem. So focusing on exactly like you said, you're want a set and break up. Your brain wants to go to the place of like, remember that one time 10 years ago when you were set and break up and then you fucked it up and then you lost? Like, beware of that because right now that's a potential danger in this moment because it wants to protect you, right? Even though, like we said, there's 100 times when you actually were fine, but you don't have to worry about those, right? So the moment you focus on that, then so that's why it is a conscious effort and practice to focus on the things that work. And the cool thing is it is something you can learn. It is like any other habit but you have to practice it because it's not an automatic, it's not a default setting. the default setting is like focus on what doesn't work because that helps you, especially when you are in survival mode, right? Which how we had the previous conversations, like the more you put stress onto the winning or losing of the match, the more you're playing in the survival mode aspect, you're in a survival mode because winning or losing is a matter of life and death. It's like so important. And that much more your brain then is looking for like ways of like if the more the losing is painful to you, so it's like a real threat, the more the brain will be looking for ways to protect you and like be careful of this, make sure you don't do that. And then you start just focusing on the weaknesses basically. And that's not a conversation we had is like the difference if you focus on your weaknesses or you focus on your strengths, right? You focus on the 2 times that you fucked up, or you do focus on the 100 times that you actually won. And one creates the feeling of fear and uncertainty and doubt, and maybe like work hard, like but too much, like tension. I have to really work hard now just so I win this set. And the other creates feeling of confidence and relaxation and presence and etc.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's amazing how the winning and the losing, if you just say it like this, it's it like everything is hidden between those two words. But if you just go deeper, even in the winning part, but mostly in the losing, like, okay, I lost. What does it mean? Like, okay, maybe I lost 2 times my serve, so that's why I lost. Maybe next time I have to do this different. Maybe I was a little bit tired, that's why I lost. Maybe I'm on my way. I was playing against a better opponent, and finally, or after 3 months, I improved so much that before I lost 2-2, and now I lost 7-5-6-4. I had really good chances. So, so in the same loss or the same win can mean so much more, or it could be so much different than only the word, I mean, I lost or I won. But if we are in the process and we just take the feedback, it's just much less like you really can feel even good when you lost, because you maybe you improved, you played better than last time, you on the right path, you did a lot of good things. But it's so hard to like remain the perspective.
Yeah. No, I think yeah, you're right. Like the winning and losing are very broad, like big categories. And it's kind of very easy, and it's very easy to get like fall into like a judgment, like a judgmental outlook of like, oh, like we judge like winning is good and losing is bad. Like we
Yeah,
make it very like black and white, like just good and bad, black and white, you know. And then if you do that, then exactly you're missing what you're saying. You're missing the million shades of gray that are like in between the black and white,
yeah,
where it happens, and also it's not productive because saying I won or lost doesn't actually tell you anything when it comes to improvement or progress or what actually happened. It's like as a coach, like if your player tells you they won or lost, that tells you nothing. If you see the statistics of the match, that tells you more. And if you actually are there and see the match live, that tells you so much more, right? But the but the winning and losing doesn't actually like mean much. Um, you know. So yeah, I would say we don't want to make the judgment like one is good and one is bad, and we want to look at and also going back to what you focus on, you feel. If you focus on I won or you focus on I lost, you're basically experiencing only like two emotions that are very extreme, too extreme, emotions. You're living in the black and white, right? And also you can't do anything about that because it's already happened. So you're focusing on the past. So the right amount of focus is, like you said, like when I'm a set and break up, I'm focusing on the next game, or what am I trying to do with this next serve? Uh, Becoming much more pragmatic, I would say, with what we focus on, like seeing reality as it is, like what am I trying to do? What's my plan in the next point? What am I trying to do? And then when the match finishes, then we can focus on, okay, like what do I want to train? Like how does this match inform me with what I want to go tomorrow into training and practice? Because I think if you have that mindset, that means you're always focusing on what you can control. And that's the key. Like focus on what you can. If you focus on what you can't control, you're always going to feel like a victim. And you can't control what already happened. Like if you're focusing on that you won or lost, both are already done. So doesn't matter. It's done. You're focusing on something you can't like, and both of them don't help. Even the winning, if you focus on that you won, it's like great, but like and like what does it actually? This like end of conversation, you know.
Yeah.
So my view and my belief is you want to focus, yes, like before the match, you focus on what's your plan for the match. During the match, you focus on what's your next point, what's the next point, what you want to be doing in the next point, where you want to serve, where you want to return. And then after the match, you relax, you give yourself enough time to decompress, to let the emotions just process the emotions, etc. And then you focus on, okay, what do I want to practice until the next tournament?
Yeah, I mean, and I don't want to go too deep into my personal stuff, but somehow,
Again, let's go.
but because I have some other questions to explore. But I have to say, and you know me well, that somehow just the real the the realization of this somehow gave me so much confidence, like because it was always like something that could kill me, or something that I have to worry about. And I remember, as I told you, that when I was coached by Miloslav Mečir, and I was always like, Milos, I know what you mean, I understand, and if I'm playing good, I also know what to do, how to do it. I understand, we are on the same page. But when I get the doubts, or when it happens that I fucked up something, like I was like 5-3 up in the first set and it's 5-7, everything goes out of the window, and I'm just not me. Or we just have normal set, we play, we hold our serves, and it's 6-5 in the tiebreak. I miss something by 2 centimeters, and then I lose the tiebreak 8-6 somehow, and I tell myself nothing really. I mean, I had more break points in 3-4 games. He didn't have anything. So normally, or objectively, I'm a better player because I had more chances in the first set, but I lost it, maybe with the net cord, or maybe just the line or something. I just lost it 8-6. It can happen. And I go into the second set with this mindset, but suddenly somehow he gets maybe more confident, or I'm suddenly not winning my service games that easy because I lost so much confidence that. But I'm like observing it, like I'm like, it's like the control thing, that okay, the confidence was on the level 80-90, and suddenly is on the level 60, which means that I'm maybe slower. I have more doubts, and my level goes down. But like rationally, I'm telling myself nothing is happening. I'm a better player. It's gonna show. Just play normal, but the level is like I'm starting to miss more and more, and then I lose the even more confidence, and I lose the set. And I was always like admiring players. They could just, okay, nothing happened. I lost the first set. I have two more sets, and I go. And this was happening in the like normal matches, or when I was set up breakup, or I mean I couldn't serve it out or whatever, and then I lost in the third set. But even the and I don't know if it's if this is the question, or this is what I wanted to tell, or I should continue to the how it was, that when I lost. I mean, of course, everybody wants to go. If you're winning the matches, you go more, and you believe, and you have less doubts, and you are on the confidence wave somehow. But when I lost matches like 2-3 times first round, the down part was so down that I couldn't beat anybody, or I felt like. So it was like going a lot of up, and then it was going, I mean, down a lot. Like I could, when I compared myself to other players, it was like they never went that down somehow, or I felt like it when you just compare the results. So that was something which I was like struggling all my career. And I always said that it was probably because of my father, because I mean he pushed me down a lot. But now somehow it come and I come back to the beginning of the question, or beginning of my talk, that now somehow I feel like last week, like I have a confidence to, okay, now I can, I mean, survive the situation somehow.
Yeah, I mean, there's multiple things you said that are interesting. Like one, I would say is that the realization that because you started by saying that suddenly you don't feel so like you feel much better going on the court with now that you have this realization and being on the court. And it makes sense because one of the things that a lot of people don't understand or don't realize and make sense is that emotions, like we can affect how we feel by exactly changing what we're focusing on, for example. And there's many different ways, but this is one of the ways. Because a lot of times when we experience these emotions, we feel overwhelmed by them. We feel like I don't know what to do. I just like it's bigger than me. It's like what you said when you said that suddenly like I wasn't myself.
Yeah.
That was the another interesting thing you said, because it's like we can ask what do you mean you weren't yourself? Because obviously you are still yourself, but the feeling is like you're not yourself. And the answer is that you are still yourself. You're a different part of yourself in that moment. Yeah, you are
Yeah.
you literally are a different part of yourself who has a different body language, different thinking patterns, different feeling patterns, different all, and that creates different outcomes to how you play and etc. Right? Different expression, because I always say that even tennis is actually like an expression of yourself, just like art, you know. So you're actually expressing yourself through your tennis, and depending on who in the self is, which self you're in, it reflects on how you express yourself, how you play, right? It shows in the tennis. Um, and for everybody it can be different, right? So for you it might be something else. Like for everybody the trigger might be something different. What the trigger is, that it's like a, you can think of it like it's like a trigger that triggers you to go into a different state.
Exactly.
It can be you know, it can be a thought, it can be someone looking at you a certain way, or you doing like for somebody, it's like making a mistake that they think is a stupid mistake. For somebody, it might mean that like they're winning and now they lost the set. For somebody, it might even mean that they're winning, like that they're up and now they get scared of like, what, I don't want to lose this now because I'm winning, you know, whatever, and most of those things come from, different beliefs play a big role. Like in your case, in your story, for example, I would look at like, what is your belief about losing the first set? Because this is where statistics a lot of times are actually not helpful, because we think like, oh yeah, if you lose the first set, then there's a high percentage chance that you're not going to win the match. And then you lose the first set, and you might have, and you don't even know this, you might have a belief in the back of the mind somewhere, you're saying like, okay, if I lose the first set, like now there's a high chance that I'm not going to win now.
Yeah.
And then obviously then it's much more difficult to play the second set if somewhere inside you what you're that would be my guess based on your story, but I don't know. It's like suddenly like you still think you're fine, but somehow you're not going for it as much as if like you're not supposed to win anymore because you lost the first set. So and usually who wins the first set wins the match. So I don't know. That would be interesting to explore what happens the other way, right? If you won the first set, do you feel
Hmm.
much more confident in the second set? Like, did
Yeah.
you?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So because
Yeah.
that's one of the common beliefs, right? We have in tennis. We hear about around. And if you think about it, like, I mean, is it true? I mean, not really, because you think about it realistically, like the second set is exactly the same as the first set.
Yeah.
The probability of winning or losing the second set should like purely pragmatically, mathematically, has nothing to do with winning or losing the first set. It's the same conditions, same points, same amount of etc. The player who won the first set doesn't have like some added advantage in the second set or
Yeah.
anything, right? Like it's and a lot of times a lot of times so, and that can go the other way too, right? The other way might
Yeah.
be somebody who wins the first set and now they feel pressure of like, now I have to close it out because if I lose after I won the first set, like I'm such an idiot.
Mhm.
Like like you won the first set and you're like 3-1 up and suddenly it's 3-5 and you're freaking out like, so we have to always, again, I go back, like focus on what's happening right now and bring it back to the point because to where what you can control.
Mm.
Because there's such a thing, if you think about it conceptually, there's such a thing as a hierarchy, right? And we talked about this, I think, in the past, is that um to use an example from beyond tennis, from life, it's kind of like you can have like the the top level is like I'm a good person. That's like the most abstract level. Underneath that, you might have I'm a good father. And underneath that might be I can cook my kids dinner. And underneath that, you have like I can whatever chop the vegetables and boil the water and all the different things that all go into make dinner. And make dinner goes into good father, and good father goes into good person, let's say. And then what happens if you burn the dinner? You fucked up, right? Like you forget, you have a call or whatever, you mess up, like you fail to make the dinner. What's the meaning? And that's why the meaning is always so important. What's the meaning you can take from this? One meaning is that you just messed up the dinner and you stay on this level of abstraction where you just say like, okay, next time I will make sure I don't. Or you say, oh, I messed up a dinner, so I'm a bad father. So I'm a bad person. And this is the
All
same
right.
thing. And this is the same thing in tennis, right? You can stay on the level of the point, I made a
Wow.
mistake, so next time I will don't aim so close to the line, or next time I will hit higher over the net or something. Or you can say, I made a mistake. That's why I lost the game. That's why I lost the set. That's why I'm an idiot.
Wow.
So we have to be very careful at which level of analysis are we analyzing. And again, going back to what I said before, at which level of analysis can we actually do something about it? Because once you go to the level of I'm an idiot or I'm a bad player, then it's too abstract to actually have a real task or real solution to that. Like, what's the solution to I'm a bad player? Where do you start fixing that?
Mhm.
It's too big of a, and then it's like, and then you go into the victim mode and you feel helpless. Like, I don't know what to do. Of course, you don't know what to do. No one would know what to do when you give them a task like you're a bad player, fix it. Because what does that mean? Right? But can you hit higher over the net next time? Yes. Can you aim not so close to the line? Yes. You can fix that. On that level, can you not burn the dinner next time? Yes. On that level, you can actually fix things. But our problem is that we sometimes when we the more emotional we get, and also again, the more emotional you are, the more it's telling you're dealing with something at the higher levels of the abstraction. Like it's touching your identity. Like you're
Yeah.
punishing you're punishing yourself for who you are, not for what you're doing. And that's such an important distinction. That same thing in parenting. We say like you want to punish or praise the behavior, not the person,
Yeah.
right? You don't want to go up to the levels of abstraction saying like you're dumb or or whatever. You're being a bad child. That's the worst thing you can do to a child. Tell them
Mhm.
you're being a bad child because they're like, I don't know what I'm like. They can't change that, first of all. And second of all, you're creating an identity. Just like a tennis player saying, like, I'm like, or we hear, like, this always happens to me, you know? So again, go stay focusing on the level of the point, not on the level of the game or the set, etc. And then when the match is over, we focus again on the level of what am I practicing? We take the information from the match and we say, okay, in the next practice or next this week, what is the one topic, the main topic we can focus on that we saw in the match? And you're staying on the level where you can actually do something about it, which gives you empowerment, which gives you feeling like I can control this. I got this. I feel confident that I can do something about this, right? And then you actually do something about it, and that gives you more confidence. Like, "Good, great, I did it. I'm better. I'm making progress," and you're in that upward loop. Whereas if you go into like I'm an idiot, whatever, like, and then you go into like, I don't even know, and etc., and that goes into a downward loop of like I'm just
Mm.
a lost case, and I don't know.
Yeah. It's probably that's the thing I got from my father, that it was always like okay, you mess up, like but he said it like Slovak, like you the guy who mess ups, and probably, yeah, that's why every loss, uh, or every also losing, it's like it's the fire on the roof, and it's like something's wrong. Yeah, so yeah, maybe that's why.
And also on the other way, like you said, every winning also is like everything's great,
Mm,
because
yeah.
if you were conditioned that like
Yeah.
every small thing becomes a huge, like we are by every detail we are actually defining the whole, then that's why you're gonna then have those ups and downs because like you did something bad, that means you're terrible, and then you did something good, that means
Hmm.
you're great.
Hmm. Hmm.
And both are actually not good because even
Yeah.
the good one might look like it seems like, oh, it's so great, I'm so great, but like the more gray you are, the bigger the fall will be when you again fall to the other side, you know. So again, I think that's it just really helps to stay pragmatic and just to see how it is. Like this is how it is.
Yeah.
Like I burned the dinner. Yes. I messed up. Sure. Next time I will do this.
Yeah.
I I was set point down. I got stressed. I got tight. I hit in the net or I aimed too close to the line. I missed it. Yes, like of course, and acknowledge. I can be stressed. Why was I stressed? Because I was set point down and it was a tight point, and I was stressed. I got tight and I went for too much. Yes, that's true. You know, and just acknowledge it and move on. Like like not to escalate it. That's the right word. You want to de-escalate the situation, like we say. You don't want to escalate the situation. You know, and the thing I see in tennis or in other sports also is the problem is that because there's a lot too much hype, a lot of like from the parents and this and like it's everything's so hyped up that it's hard to de-escalate because like the whole atmosphere and the whole situation is just too hyped up. And then you don't want to, then it's hard to look at pragmatically because like, oh my God, like we lost or like, yeah, we won. Like it's
Mm.
so much emotions and so hype. Um, Instead of just looking at like, okay, like professionally, like looking at it professionally instead of emotionally.
Yeah. Where did you learn about the hierarchy, the levels? Where did you get the idea from?
This one I think I heard from Jordan Peterson actually. Um,
Really?
that's what I heard from him. Yeah, it's just different levels of abstractions because we have these kind of how we see ourselves and based on different things we do, and different personalities we have. Like, am I, good, whatever, a husband or a father or, this, and it goes into good person and we judge ourselves on these and we have different beliefs and rules, right? Like what does it mean to be and for tennis player we have that, like what does it mean to be a good tennis player, like and you want to discover, you have to explore these beliefs, like I said, like what does it mean that, well, again, it's the mean is the key word there. What does it mean if I lose the first set? Doesn't mean I'm an idiot. Doesn't mean now it's going to be so hard because I have to play another 3 hours. Doesn't mean doesn't matter because the second set is the same as first, so we start over. Doesn't mean actually great because I had once I had one set to figure out the guy. So now even though I lost the set, but like in the last two games of the set, I already like the momentum started shifting because I figured out like what I have to play against him. So I'm looking forward to the set because I know what to do now, you know all of these are different possibilities, and again, which one you focus on, which meaning
Mm.
you pick, and which
Mm.
meaning you focus on, that's how you're going to feel. And how you're going to feel is going to put you, that's what's going to put you in that different self, that different personality, and that different personality is going to have a different expression of that personality through tennis, as I said earlier, that the tennis is at the end just the expression of who you are. But what we forget is who we are is a collection of different selves. And each self is we're gonna go into depending on what we focus on what meaning are we giving things, right? Like one self might be really curious and looking forward to it and confident. Another self might be like feeling sorry for oneself and pitying oneself. Another self might be angry or feeling doubt. Another self might be just like whatever. So what do you focus on, and what meaning are you giving it? It's gonna create the difference.
Yeah, and that's also amazing. We spoke about the different personality and the mosaic which forms in each of us, and that brings me to the next question,
What a
which I
segue.
prepared.
I love it.
And I wrote down multiple personalities, mosaic.
Okay.
One of them, the match personality.
Uh-huh.
And I have also a little story to the question that after after 1 year, I again played the club matches in Slovakia, and I play against, I mean, very weak opponent. But the a very interesting thing for me was, and I remember that I had it already the years before, but the the amazing thing was that I was playing the match and I was playing the same strokes, which I'm playing every day for, I mean, hundreds of hours, and every week. It's not like I'm out of tennis, but I play tennis almost every day, and then I play club matches, like official match. And it was such a, it was so mind blowing that I felt like when I was on the court in the match, I felt like it's a different sport. Yeah, I felt like I didn't play this sport for 1 year at least, and now I'm back at it. But I play tennis every day, and the match, and I won it easily because I know my match personality is great because I played thousands of matches. But it was like so mind blowing that even we play doubles, and I play on forehand, which you know how it is. Forehand cross, it's like the most basic exercise. And I was hitting forehand cross against a guy. We won 6-love, 6-1. And I felt like, ooh, I didn't play forehand cross for a long time. I have to practice it a little bit this week.
Mhm.
You know, it was like schizophrenic totally. It's like
Mhm.
I left my old self there, and I was in the match mode, and even the strokes felt different, you know, like suddenly I remember, suddenly I played one-handed backhand for, I don't know, and suddenly I was going there to play double-handed backhand, like on the easy shot, because I didn't have the belief that I can kill the one-handed, which I played 10 years already, you know. So that was just, I mean, mind-blowingly, and I wanted to share and I wanted to discuss what you think about it, or if you have it also.
I think yeah, I think it's totally normal because it's not the same, so it's your brain, even though it's the same in terms of like it's the same sport. And I immediately thought of like, and I'm sure you experience it every day also with your players in training, like you can just have a simple like we're hitting backhand cross court without scoring, we're just hitting backhand cross court and you're playing some one way. And immediately you say, okay, now we play the backhand cross court to seven, and it's a whole nother story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Even though we were just doing it and just saying that now we're scoring, people suddenly start playing completely differently.
Yeah.
Different feeling, different shot selection, different whatever, maybe even different technique a little bit, like, so that just shows how much pressure we associate with the winning and losing, going back to the previous point, right? How much like suddenly I'm being judged, suddenly there is like
Mm-hmm.
it matters. Like every shot, and in tennis it's like every shot matters because every shot you can miss, so it's not like in tennis is tough with that, right? Because it's like in soccer, for example, like you can fuck up, but like your teammate might like save you, or like like you don't just like the other team doesn't score a goal just because you did one mistake or something, like so in tennis, like literally every shot has potential to like cost you the point. um suddenly, suddenly there is a pain associated with every shot, potential pain, you know. Where before, when you're not scoring, if you miss a net, you miss out, like you don't care. There's no pain, you know. So it makes total sense to me that, it makes total sense to me that it is a different sport, it's a different mentality, it is a different state of mind that you're suddenly in. And you have to again kind of get sensitized to that, like that you have to get used to it. You have to get, and as we all know, like after some amount of matches, or and this is what I like practicing in practice is like actually practicing kind of maintaining, and this is how you actually build mental strength, because mental strength, one of the great definitions I heard of mental strength in sports was that how similar is your practice level to your match level. That's one of the best definitions of mental strength for sports that I heard, like and you can practice and practice literally what I just said, for example, the backhand cross court exercise. And now, okay, we're gonna score now. And remember, and your goal is try to play the same way we just played without scoring. Try to stay in the same level of relaxation, in the same level of hitting, etc., etc., right? Um, so, but it depends, because there are players, I know players who, then on the other hand, I know players who actually play, then you have players who play better when you have points because they're too much in that, like, if we're not scoring, I'm just missing, I don't care. And they need a little bit of that, like, seriousness to actually like play better and to, to lock in and to try. So again, but again, you see that it's not an accident that it felt like a different sport or something, because the topic of scoring, and not just scoring in a practice, but actually it's like an official match, um brings some level of pressure.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, how big of a difference it is. And then also, I was trying after that match, like also recreate the feelings, and I could do it. It's like okay, we play now forehand cross, and I somehow I switch my personality from the practice one to the match personality, and I felt that the like other way around, that okay, I was nervous, but the more I was hitting in that personality, I got more confident, I got more loose, and I got more relaxed. But I always like and you don't really need to remind yourself, but I just feel like okay, like it's kind of like now I play the forehand cross. Okay, yesterday we played the forehand cross in the doubles. Okay, let's play also for the doubles, and just hit it, and like right away the stroke feels different. Do you know it also? Like it feels different. Like and but you like for me it would, if we just put it in the schizophrenic mode, like I'm practicing now the the match personality in me somehow.
Hmm?
And I know that it's more nervous, maybe not that good of a timing and everything, but somehow like you can practice it.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's two ways I would say. One, and both, and I think I would say it's good to work on both simultaneously. One is what you're saying exactly, like going into that match mode and practicing, and that's why a lot of coaches, like, you hear this, you have to practice as you compete. That's why it's so important to practice in the same, like, in that intensity, and like, to have those practice matches and all that. That's why it's so important to have practice matches, because there you can actually practice that personality before you actually go to a tournament. um so one thing is that, yeah, to practice, and then the other thing, to go from the other side, is like you can explore, okay, why is that nervousness there? why is this match personality stressed? Why is it nervous? Why is it, like, and then you go much deeper into, topics, for example, like why do you derive self-value from winning and losing? Like
Yeah.
why is it so important to win or to not lose? And you go deeper into that, and you work with like helping that personality like realize that it is not that, like, to start closing the gap between the two personalities, to start realizing that you are the same person, you have the same, like, the impact on your life, especially as a kid, etc., is zero whether you win or lose, in terms of like you still have your parents or whatever, you still live where you live, you're still going to sleep in the same bed, like you might still have your friends at school, etc., etc. Like, of course you want to win, but it's to start closing that gap, to integrate the two, because the bigger the gap is, the bigger you're going to have the difference between how you are in training and how you are in the
Mm.
match, right? So I would say that's the other way to go about it, is starting to talk with that personality of like, hey, why is it so important to you? And
Mm.
there we go back to the hierarchy, right? Like, on which level of hierarchy, like winning and losing in tennis, what does it mean about you as a person?
Mm. Mm.
What beliefs do you have, like, that what does it mean about you as a person, or about your future, or about how much your parents love you or not love you, et cetera, right? Because
Mm.
if you're so stressed about the game, because at the end of the day, it's just a game for a kid. But if you're so stressed, that means it's not just a game for you.
Yeah.
Otherwise, otherwise you wouldn't be so stressed, right? So, so we have to figure out like, okay, what is what is the more important thing? What is the real threat that losing creates? You know, is it how will others look at me? Is it like how will my parents look at me? Is it that everyone's telling me I have this bright future in tennis, and now like they will see that I'm actually not as good as they thought, so I'll be disappointing them. Um, what is there's so many, I'm just naming few, but whatever it is, so you can work on both from both sides.
Yeah. That brings me perfectly to the questions number three.
Oh my
And
God,
that,
we're professional now.
yeah. And that is nerves from expecting a prestigious match, a club derby, or a tournament where everybody knows everybody and you know how it is.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of players, they they didn't want to play in tournaments in the same country because they can meet with the younger opponent, whatever, to
Mhm.
lose. And so they maybe play more internationals to like avoid the confrontation and everything.
Mm.
And that's, I mean, interesting. And probably that will bring us again to the levels and on and where's the pain on which level, and it's different for everybody.
Mhm.
So uh maybe we can explore like what to do, and if it would help to go maybe deeper, to go honest with your own self, and to really like would it be so bad if I would lose to this guy, what would happen, and then to somehow try to like feel it less, somehow. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know
Yeah.
what you.
No, one thing I want to share is, and I heard this very recently from a sports psychologist that I know, or that rather is working with the player, one of the players of mine, and it was an interesting. It's a formula, actually. You can write it as a mathematical formula, and it was that stress equals the importance of the match times the times the difficulty of the match divided by confidence.
Wow.
Yeah, just to repeat, so stress equals the important, and again, but the important thing is here is that obviously we know it's perceived importance and perceived difficulty
Right.
and perceived confidence, because these are all like constructs, right?
Yeah.
So
Subjective.
how much do I, and what you said, right? If it's a very important, I perceive it as important, like a prestigious match, then even if I perceive it as a weaker opponent, I might still be stressed.
Yeah.
But it's divided by the confidence, and confidence, we can talk about confidence is a topic that, it's a, we all think we know what it is, but it can get tricky.
It
What,
can get so tricky.
like,
It's so
what do
complicated.
you mean by confidence, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, for me, just one of the ways to define confidence, like that I use, is I think of it as like competence. Um, I think competence is a better word, and or self, like how do I perceive my own competence? Like, uh,
Hmm.
do I know what I know? And am I focusing on what I know? It's exactly what we talked about earlier. Like, I focus on the 100 matches that I won,
Hmm.
or do I focus on the ones I lost, you know? So, so for me, it's like, am I aware of my competence? Like, so
Yeah.
I, I know what I know. And that's why, again, we discussed, privately recently about this idea that focusing on the strengths, like if you go into the match and what you know what your strengths are, that like I have a big serve, or this is my favorite serve that works against most people hate this, or this is the from this position, this forehand into this position, like I really love hitting it and most people like hate it, etc. And I'll go into the match knowing this. That gives me confidence because I know I'm competent in these areas, right? So when we take this formula, so how do you work? You work on this in the confidence level, you work on this, more focusing on, okay, what am I competent in? And also that's why we train, because we increase our competence. But when we train, we also have to reflect and see, like, okay, how much have I progressed? Because there's always something to improve. But if you focus on what there is to improve, you feel like you're shit. So you have to more focus on what you already improved and how good it is already. Like is and also realize that you don't have to be competent to play whatever, be number one in the world, but you just have to be competent for winning this match that's in front of you.
Yeah.
So that's another thing that people need to realize. Like,
Hmm.
there are age categories and tournament categories for a reason, and there are rankings for a reason. And the reason is that if you are in this tournament, that means you're also competent to win, because you're competing among your peers and you're competing at this level based on your previous showing of competence, which is your ranking, where you are, which means you're competent enough to do something here. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. So that's where I would say the confidence can come from. And then what you're saying is like, okay, the perceived importance. And then we go, what you asked about the significant match, that's where the hype comes. I was talking about earlier, that the more it gets hyped, the more we create this hype of like it's so important, it adds stress, right? Because it's something special. So, and then if it's, and there's the difficulty, right? So the more, if it's really important, plus I perceive it as difficult, then I'm really stressed.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, I would say like this formula is amazing, kind of to simplify things, because then you can play around with, okay, where's the problem? Do I not have enough confidence? Am I not aware of what I can do, or am I making it too important? Am I giving it more importance than is necessary? Or am I focusing on like it's too difficult? Um, you know. And sometimes it might be too difficult, but if it's too difficult, then sometimes you can't do anything about that. And then you have to decrease the importance because it is the importance times the difficulty, right? So if it is too difficult and you can't do anything now, you can say like, and we all know this, we all do this instinctively. We say like, okay, I have nothing to lose. It's not so important. I'll just go play.
Yeah.
But sometimes we forget to add the confidence part. We just say like, oh, it's just whatever. But if you say like, okay, it's not so important, I have nothing to lose, but then you still remind yourself of like, but I know this and this and this, I can try and don't forget my strengths, then it can be interesting.
I remember when I was playing and how suddenly the importance of the matches like went down, and there was two things that happened in the same time because I I was quitting the school, the gymnasium, and there's a final exam which is very important because if you don't make it you have to learn during the holidays and to repeat the exam in September. And I was so stressed to make it because maybe I didn't didn't learn that much for the exam and everything. So I was so stressed that when I did it, and then I went to the tennis tournament, and then I started to play professionally. And for me, it was like so much less pressure because I knew that the next week is the next tournament.
Mhm.
So that means that it's not like if I don't win this week, I have to then study all summer long, and then again I'm gonna go to the tournament. But I knew that there are 50 tournaments in a year, like in 50 weeks.
Yeah.
So there's no pressure
Yeah.
after
Yeah.
that. And also I was not playing anymore in Slovakia, where comparing with your friends. So you play internationally and every week. So it's like no pressure. Almost only the pressure because you don't have money or whatever. But I mean, the two big pressures somehow went away.
Yeah. And I just had a thought or idea maybe and actually maybe makes sense is that the countries that are producing consistently really good players. If you think about it, there are a lot of times there are countries who have tournaments all year, like a lot of tournaments all year round, even for young players. Like in Spain, for example, I know that like you have players who like are in academies and they literally go like every weekend. They take them in the bus, for example. They go to a tournament and then they go to like ITF or their qualies. They play on the weekend, and if they make it, great. They play the main draw, and if they lose, they come back, they train, and then next weekend they go again to a qualies in some other place.
Mm.
So they're recreating this. What you're saying is that like every week, like in Slovakia, for example, we have this like there's no tournaments and then there's like a few tournaments and also we have these different levels. So now there's like the regional championships, it's more important, and there's now the national champions, even more important. And then there we have these grades of tournaments of like this is more important than this one. So all the time you have this like importance thing, which you have also, of course, like you have grand slams in the highest level, etc. also, but in a way, like it's much kind of like you're saying, it's more diluted, right? Because you just at some point it's just like that's my life. I'm just traveling and playing and also like you're saying in Slovakia, it's tough that everybody knows each other. It's small, so there's much more comparisons and it creates this hierarchy, so it can get much more emotional because suddenly it becomes almost like your social status like It's not just a game, like I said earlier. Like, why is it so important? Because it's not just a game, and it's about like, who am I in society? What's my
Yeah,
status in this mini world?
yeah,
And that's where it starts, getting extra pressure. Because when, like you said, when you're playing professional and like every week you have different players who you see and you might never see again, or just few of them, and you're all on the same boat, that like you're all trying to just improve and do better. It's a much different feeling than when you're in a small pond in a national, like in Slovakia, and you feel like we're all fighting each other here and like comparing like who's better, and uh you know it's a very different atmosphere. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Interesting. And also it helped me to in coaching my own son when he goes to the tournament like this, or he plays against prestigious guy, or he just goes to the, then we go like okay, um we know that this is the tactic. Maybe we know the guy because I mean, if it's prestigious, of course we know him because we played already a lot of times. So we go through the tactic, and before it was only the tactic, and we gonna hope for the best, and let's see. But now it's also, and we edit the one thing. It's like, if it doesn't work, or if it gets messy, like something's gonna, like create problems, then I know you will figure it out.
Mhm.
And that's just that's the belief that okay, you already did it several times, and I know you're gonna figure it out again. And we'll see, maybe you're gonna be too loose, too tense, too motivated, to not motivate, or whatever, or too angry. But I mean, you're gonna figure it out, and you're gonna win it in the wrong state, or switching from the wrong tactic to the better one.
Mhm.
And just to, it's not because it's not always just sticking to the tactic, or just on the level of the tactic. You also have to like overcome on the level on the physical level, and also on the emotional level, to something, like your expectation, or
Yeah.
maybe your, yeah,
I think there is a cool thing that I want to share with you, is this idea. There's a cool hack you can, and again, it takes practice, and again, it goes back to the, we have a million-year-old brain, and it's the default mode is more to like focus on like something might go wrong. So before a tournament, before something we consider again important or prestigious or whatever, and we feel so when we're not in the present moment anymore, right? Because it's like a week before or 2 days before even like it starts, and we're like, instead of just enjoying dinner with the family and like nothing is happening yet, right? But we're already feeling
yeah,
something. So there's a anticipation of the event. Like, we know that some event is about to happen, and what's happening, it's anticipation of the event. And so, because again, we have a million-year-old brain, and we like to tend to focus on default setting is like, we have to anticipate something bad might happen. We call that stress. We call that pressure. We call that nervousness, etc. That
mm,
anticipation.
mm,
But that's the meaning we give it, right? But the same anticipation, if you go to the other way, can also be positive expectation. Could be anticipation, because when you feel into your body, you'll realize that it's a very similar feeling when you're anticipating something good happening, you're anticipating something bad happening. Like, you get like little butterflies in your stomach, you get like all tense, you get like everything gets like going, and you're like you're in the moment, you're in an anticipating state. And anticipation is a beautiful word because it's neutral. It's emotionally neutral. You're just anticipating something is going to happen and you don't know what. You can go into a nervous state because you're anticipating what if something bad happens, or you can go into excited state. Like I'm really excited for this tournament to happen and I'm anticipating like a kid before Christmas because something important is happening. Something that's different is happening from normal, right? That's why also, like you said, when you start playing more and more tournaments, the anticipation kind of decreases because it's not some event that's unusual anymore. So you don't have that anticipation before, right? But suddenly it might be you might even have like multiple tournaments, but suddenly like it's a final and you haven't been in the final ever. So suddenly the anticipation is there again because it's a new event. It's something different. So every time the anticipation always is that it's kind of like our body telling us like get ready, something you don't know is going to happen. So you don't know. Just like be ready. And like I said, we can go and we can teach our brain, and this is a great practice. You can practice feeling like, okay, like what I'm feeling is actually excitement. I'm excited for the tournament. I'm excited for the final. I'm excited for the Grand Slam or for the test or whatever. Why? Because it's an opportunity to gain something.
Mhm.
It's an opportunity to play. It's an opportunity to win. It's an opportunity like it's an opportunity for something great to happen. So I'm actually and that's why I'm thinking about it 2 days before because I'm anticipating. I'm excited that like I'm so excited to go play. Or you go I'm so nervous. I have a tournament in 2 days. And again, it's just what you focus on. Are you focusing on opportunity or are you focusing on potential pain and loss? And the Chinese, you probably know this, Chinese have the same word actually. Like crisis and opportunity are actually they have the same word. And it means crisis and it also means opportunity. And
It's like
yeah, and we know this from if there's an economic crisis or whatever, like for some people it's like Tony Robbins says beautifully, in wintertime, some people freeze to death and other people ski and snowboard.
yeah. It's like I always thought that the fear of failure or the opposite, looking for success, you don't choose. You just like that. Like like I always thought that, and that we are back to the beliefs, like what you think that it's true, but then suddenly if you just try and maybe you can just change your belief.
Yeah. When we talk about belief, the way I love this image of belief, you can conceptualize belief as like a table. So belief is basically your belief is a table which has legs. And the legs are different reference points, references from the past. Like I believe that if I lose the first set, I definitely lose the match because I have these memories of every time that I lost the first set, I lost the match. Or I believe that whatever, if I get angry, and when I get angry, I can't play anymore because I remember all these times, etc. So to
Right.
change the belief, what do we do? To change the belief, you have to kill the legs. Why? Because how you actually start looking for different experiences. You start looking at like, okay, start questioning the legs. Start like, okay, is it really every time that I or even anyone else like lose the first set that they lose the match? No. Is it really that every time I get angry I always can't play? Well, and a lot of time people say like, yeah, it's true. That's the first reaction because the thinking, the belief is so conditioned that that's like automatically the mind goes that way. But then you if you really think about it and you really challenge it, they will remember like, okay, that's true, but that one time, and you only need one time. You're like, okay, that one time it actually didn't happen. So you have to first step is you have to realize what those legs are, what is fueling the belief, what is holding the belief up that you want to change, and then you question the legs, you question those references. Is it true? Because we facts are not facts. Like most of the facts are opinions.
Mm.
So we have a belief and we think it's built on facts, which are actually opinions. And as long as we think they're facts, we can't change them. When we realize they're just opinions, you can change your opinion. You can change your opinion of yourself, of things and of different constructs, how you look at things. So that's the process, and it's simple. It's not easy, but it's not too hard. Also, it just takes time, like anything else, like any other practice. It just takes time to actually sit with it, actually write it down, and actually contemplate, meditate on it. Like, okay, what is my belief? And if you don't know what your beliefs are, the easy way to figure out your beliefs are look at your actions, because our actions always come from, if you believe you're gonna, if you 100% believe you're gonna win the lottery, you do whatever it takes to like buy the ticket, no matter what's happening. If you 100% believe you don't win the lottery, you don't buy the ticket, no matter how many people would like try to convince you. And then you have everything in between. So your actions always kind of shows you, okay, what do I believe? So like, and it's like repetitive actions, your habits basically, right? So if I'm every time I lose the first set, I keep losing matches. I have to look at, okay, is it because of this belief, for example, or do I have a belief around losing first sets, and why do I have that belief? What are those legs? Like if I can't hit a forehand down the line, okay, what is my belief about hitting forehands down the line? And where do I have that reference? And maybe all it takes is a coach who gives you an easy enough ball and like shows you a way how to hit it, and few times you actually hit it down the line. It's enough to break that belief, and you see like, oh wow, actually, I guess I can hit it down the line. But then there's still the doubt, like, okay, fine, but can I also do it in a match? Okay, let's slowly. Okay, let's go in the practice match and try it down the line, but keep an open mind. Again, like first destroy the belief that definitely I can't, but just open the mind and like, let's see. It's not a fact, it's an opinion. So let's see if we can change your opinion, change your mind, by having a new experience. So yeah.
Perfect. Let's go. Yeah, it was great again. So I think it's enough for today. So we'll
Yeah,
see.
it was great. It was a lot of we went through a good amount of information today, and yeah, I think a good practical information. I just wish that like anyone who will be watching this is you know t takes it and puts it to practice like you are, which I always love how you tell me that you can take it and put it into practice, because at the end of the day it's just about doing it. If you don't actually put it into action and put it into practice, then it doesn't, then it's just theory. It doesn't work. It's going to take time. Cool.
Good.
Thank you for the questions. Great topics.
Yeah. Thanks. Thanks.
Bye
Okay. Bye.
bye.